everybody. Welcome to the Hello Road podcast. My name is Ethan.
My name is Paul.
And today we're getting back in the swing of things. It's been a while since we've podcasted. It's probably been, a month and a half, 2 months, 3 months. Yeah. I'm not sure. We can blame it on the pandemic, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do at work. I always just,
yes.
We're out of this part. It's the pandemic.
Yeah, it's just COVID. Sorry, we didn't record because of COVID because, let's blame everything on that. But we're back. We're back for a little bit. Hopefully we can kind of ramp this up a little bit.
Yep.
And we do have a lot to talk about. I think there's no shortage of things to talk about. I think we've just been, at least me personally, I've had a lot of other things been going on in my life that's kind of taken a little bit more priority over blabbing about vehicles and cars and stuff, but we got to get back into it. So
yeah, it's a good way to ground ourselves and keep sane during these unprecedented times.
Yes.
My favorite thing to say. No, it really is though, because, with all the craziness that's going on, it's just, it's getting shoved down your throat one way or another. If you're like watching the news, I mean, I don't know why if you watch the news, but if you happen to turn on the local news, that's all they're talking about. And if you pick up your phone or you're on your computer and it's just like the homepage of each screen, or if you're on Twitter or whatever, it's just like it's everywhere. So
let's take your mind off of that for a little bit and talk about weird cars from the 80s and 90s and today, the hits from the 80s, 90s and today. And we'll I've got a few things to talk about. I've got a few additional cars in my driveway that were not here the last time we podcasted.
Oh my goodness.
Last time we recorded.
Are we surprised?
No,
we're not surprised.
We're not surprised.
Just as you have cars in your driveway that weren't here last time we podcasted.
Yep.
Everybody can expect that. I have the same cars in my driveway.
The same cars.
Yes,
that's the way it should be. You should buy cars, enjoy them, and keep them for a very long time.
A very long time, yeah.
And not buy one and then want to get rid of it 2 months later.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's okay. It's like yin and yang. It's like fire and ice. That's why we're so good at this. So
yes,
there we go. All right. Well, you've got us baited. So since the last time, I think you added the Mitsubishi Galant.
The Galant. That's the 85 Galant. Yep.
I'm going to tell everybody, I kind of have a crush on that car.
It's a good car.
And do you want to know why? I'll tell you why.
Because it looks French?
Well, it looks French, but it shares a certain trait that I find endearing on cars. And I own a car that has this trait. So we both share this now.
Okay.
And the rear fender, the little how do you want to call it? The little French skirt, I guess you would say. Kind of like the Charade has over the rear wheels. Your Galant has that too. It's got that straight cut.
Yeah, a straight cut that kind of leads back towards the rear bumper.
And I love it. It's like one of my favorite things. I know that little, was it the Renault Encore or the Alliance? I forgot which one that we had here that had that same thing too. And I see it and I'm like, I love it. It's like my favorite thing. If I ever became a car designer, which, at this point in my life, I don't think would happen, but if it ever did, I guarantee you every car that I put out would have that little like French skirt thing on it.
Yes. Like, okay. So you're right. It is the Alliance. I just took a quick peek at the Googles, and yes, the Alliance. It's a little different. It kind of goes a little bit lower. It doesn't go like straight across to the bumper, but it does have the lower. The kind of the. What do you call that? I'm not sure.
I've heard it called a French skirt before, but I could be thinking of might have been what they called it on like crazy like Bugattis from the 30s that like where it was actually removable. It was there as like a stylistic thing, but to like remove the wheel, you would need to remove the skirt from the vehicle. But so I don't know if that's really what it's called. I call it that. I guess.
So I must also assume that you're a fan of the 1986 Mercury Sable, because the Sable also has that same thing.
I think the Taurus did. Did the
Taurus have one too?
The first generation, and
really, I'm gonna have to look this up.
Did
now.
it? I think it did. And it may have.
Let's see, no, not that I'm seeing. I think it was just the Sable.
Just the Sable. Okay, then bring it on.
That's just maybe on the wagon. Let's look at the wagon.
Oh yes, I'm the wagon.
Actually, the wagon has it.
There you go. I rode in that had a rear facing hatch seat or whatever they call that thing. And I remember riding in one with my buddy in like 5th grade, going to Universal Studios for the first time, staring at all the cars coming at us. It was very kind of scary, but it was kind of cool at the same time. So
yeah, I'm a big fan of that, of the first gen Taurus. I remember when it came out too, because I don't know. I just remember it sort of being like, it was the groundbreaking design of this, all of these square cars at the time.
And it was rounded, kind of.
It was round and bubbly
what is
flush-mounted headlights. Yes.
Yeah. And, my grandmother owned one, and it was an okay car. It was and she had the V6 in that thing, and it was maroon.
Was it Vulcan V6, or am I thinking of something else?
I think so, but it was maroon on maroon. I remember that. There was a lot of maroon. But yeah, no, it was a interesting car. Just did his thing. So yeah, it was cool. Okay, well, back to this. So
back to the Galant.
Yes. To the Galant. Yes. That's a new one. And then we've been on our podcast, we've been talking about your Integra, but the video debut, the Hello Road video debut, has occurred, and for everything that you went through with it, I still think it's a solid car. I know it was a kind of dear on the price, but
sure. So
I think it's a solid car.
Yeah. So what did I pay for it? Like $2,000, and then so you watched the video, but I got the car, paid $2,000. Turns out they had a timing belt that snapped and bent a couple valves. So this was I purchased it sight unseen in an auction. So you just kind of get what you get. And I took a chance on this car. It had low miles, 93,000 miles on it, thinking, there can't be much wrong with a Integra with only 93,000 miles on it, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Turns out somebody replaced the timing belt, but didn't do it right. So because there's a little sticker under the hood that said new timing belt like 200 or 300 miles ago. So they had done it, but obviously whatever they did it incorrectly.
Yeah.
So, and that's an interference engine. So yeah, when the timing belt breaks, the engine goes kaboom. So, it's funny when I posted this video, I get a multitude of opinions on whether or not this was a terrible deal or not. So $2,000 for a 99 Integra seems like a pretty good deal if it was running. It seems like a smoking deal if it was running, because it's in great shape. The interior is perfect. And then people are saying, oh, you should have swapped in a VTEC. Oh, you could have just gotten this engine for $600. You could have done this. You could have done that. And it's like, yeah, maybe if I had done all the labor myself, and I could have saved a few dollars here and there. But when you look at like the cost of doing a new head, the cost of putting in timing belt, water pump, with just everything adds up. Like I don't think, there's some people that say, $2,200 for all that is way too much. You could have done it a lot cheaper. And I don't think I could have. I mean, no. I could have shopped around a little bit, but there's just a certain price for that.
If you had like, I say this like it's a thing, but like previous Honda experience, like maybe back in the day, you had a bunch of CRXs or Civics and you're used to the whole Honda motor swapping thing, then totally. But this was your first time, and by yourself just swapping the motor over to another thing. You've taken motors out of cars and stuff. Tons of stuff can pop up. It's like, oh, well, this is supposed to be plug and play, but it's not. Now I've got to do this, and now what was supposed to be steps 1, 2, and 3 is now steps 1A, 1B, 1C, 1. It just turns into a big old thing, and then frustration sets in, and it just turns into a not fun project. So I think you did the right thing.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is my thought process was there's very, very few unmolested Integras left. Most of them have been modified. Most of them have already had engine swaps. A lot of them have body kits, and they're just kind of been trashed. I looked on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp, just kind of poke around to see what was available, and most of them are just in really bad shape. So I figured if I have one that's in really good shape, why would I change this thing? Put a different motor in it. Why would I kind of I feel like the kind of nice thing about the particular example that I bought is that it is original and it doesn't have that many miles. And I figured, okay, well, yeah, I could have put a B20 or VTEC or something in it, but I want to just kind of keep it the way that it is, because I think at some point there's going to be somebody out there that just wants a stock Integra and there's just none left. So this will be the one that they might want to buy.
This is the one you need to hang on to for like 10 more years, because the way things are going on, like bring a trailer and all that stuff, that car you have, that's a $60,000 to $70,000 car. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. And you definitely did the right thing because of the originality of it. If you wanted to swap in like a VTEC motor or whatever into another Integra, then buy a ratty ass one that,
exactly,
and just do it.
It kind of reminds me of like where 240 SXs are now, 240s. Like there's no stock ones left. I mean, if there are, I don't know where they are. All of them have been clapped out or modified or turned into drifters or all missing their front bumpers. And that's fine. I don't have any problem with like people doing that to their cars, whatever, whatever makes you happy. But at the same time, there's just, I'd love to find just a completely stock one.
Yeah, no. And the motor that came in that KA24 DE engine, everyone calls it the truck motor because it did share with the Nissan the truck
hard
that was
body,
out, the hard body. Yep. It's a good engine and it's a fine engine. It does what it needs to do. I mean, I've personally known a couple of people that have done SR swaps on their 240s, and they're fast, they're fun, but after a year or so, when it's time to smog the thing again, it just turns into a huge nightmare, and then it's for sale on Craigslist for $10,000, and
there's so many shells for sale.
Yeah,
there's so many shells. Like, I ran out of time, or I lost interest in the project, so I'm going to sell the shell.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, you just couldn't get it smogged, or it was too much of a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I love that car. I love all generations of that car. The S12, the older one that was out. S12, like 13, 14 that we got here. I love all the generations of that car. It's an awesome car. It's the right size. It's dare I say the right drivetrain. It's just I drove my buddies when it was powered by the original KA, and then when it was powered by an SR, and it was tons of fun with the SR, but at the same time, it was like I couldn't get over how well balanced the car felt. And at that point, it was already like, I don't know, this must have been back in like 2001 or something. So the car was a 94, so it was already however many years old with over 100,000 miles, and the car just felt so good. And I was like, man, this is why people get into these things. But yeah, that car is definitely like one of those bucket list cars. I'd love to find a not outrageously priced, but just I'd almost be hazard to say that I would probably enjoy that more than like an S2000.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think I might. I don't know. It's more
coming from a quote Honda guy. That's surprising.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know. So okay. Well, I get it. I get why you did it though with the Integra, because the originality's there, and you could keep it and sell it on Bring a Trailer. Like, not that would actually happen, but it might. Having that originality is great.
Sure, and I think that's the thing is like there's very few left that have under 100,000 miles, and now the engine has had some work done to it, but now it's going to run for another 100,000 without any problems. So. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with that car. The big problem with that car right now is that I'm having trouble getting the thing registered. So I got it from the auction. It took forever for them to send me the paperwork. I actually bought the car back in July, and I took them ages to get me the title. Once I finally got the title, DMV still, you can't get an appointment at the DMV because of COVID. Right. So I figured I'd try to do one of these third party. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm just hearing some funny sounds. I figured I'd do one of those third-party sites where you pay like $60 and they do the DMV stuff for you. That's like, okay, let's do that. I'd rather pay $60 or whatever rather than wait in line at the DMV. It's worth it to me. Yeah. So I tried to do that, go through the whole process, and they're like, no, we can't help you. I'm like, okay, that's weird. So you actually have to go to the DMV. So I tried doing it online because actually the California DMV has a lot of stuff you can do online now.
Yes.
But when I search for my VIN number and my plate number in the California DMV site, it says the no record could be found. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Is this stolen? What is going on? Is this not the real title? Anyway, so then really my only option now is to go to the DMV and wait in line. And, I've heard people saying lately that, you could get there, wait at camp out basically in front of the DMV, like you're waiting for the new iPhone or something, or the new PlayStation, camp out there and just wait in line for a few hours. And hopefully you finally get to talk to somebody. But, I don't know. I'm not sure I really want to do that. I'm kind of thinking I might just register it in another state until COVID is done. I'm not sure.
Well,
because I could register it in Vermont right now, and they'll send me plates. And I'm not driving it right now. I do want to get it registered in California. I'm just like I can't.
Going to be like those Montana plate tax evaders.
I'm paying taxes. I'm just paying it to the wrong state.
I know. It's just going to be funny though.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny you bring it up because I had kind of a similar experience when I owned my little Vespa scooter. The plate had fallen off the DMV record sheet just because it hadn't been registered in forever, which I know isn't the case here, but there's like a case of something's messed up. What I believe is going to need to happen to the Integra is it's going to need to go to the CHP for a VIN verification.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I think you can get that form on the DMV site because it is kind of good. The California DMV site's kind of good. And then I think you can call your local or local-ish CHP and see about setting an appointment up or doing something. And you literally take it there and they go out and look at the VIN and sign off on it. And I think that is kind of where you're going to need to go. Because I remember with the Vespa, the first time I went, I had an appointment and they're like, oh, you need to do VIN verification. I was like, okay, cool. Well, let's hear. And they're like, no, you have to go to the CHP. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's funny because when I bought my Ram pickup, they actually did the VIN verification at the DMV, but it was only because they had a specific person that just happened to be there that day. Like she was the only one that was allowed to do them. So So I must have just lucked out that I didn't have to go to a different location. I didn't have to go to the CHP to do that. So you're probably right. That's exactly what I'm probably going to have to do with the Integra. I'm just dreading like going to the DMV and dealing with it.
I might be like 3/8 right, but a little bit. Well, either or. Yeah, that is kind of the crappy thing about all this is it kind of puts a little bit of a monkey wrench into registering auction vehicles from out of state.
Well, and this one has a California title, which is the weird thing,
Really?
Yes. I came from Nevada, had a California title. So you'd think it should just be no problem, but it is a problem. The Ram that I bought had a Arizona title, and that was actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
It took forever for me to get the plates because of COVID, but the whole process wasn't that bad.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
It's running good, so we're good. It just needs to get a license plate.
Yes, exactly.
Then we'll be styling. So
yes.
Cool.
Yeah, and I do. You might have noticed that I've done a video with this car where I'm actually driving it, and it wasn't exactly registered when I drove it, but I just go around my block essentially.
Yeah.
I'm basically admitting to driving my car illegally on a podcast. But I don't think anybody's going to come after me for it.
Yeah.
You can turn me in. That's fine. That's fine.
I once rode my Vespa scooter around my block without a helmet on.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe you broke that rule.
Yeah. So they're going to have to get both of us now. We're going to both get locked up. Yeah.
Yes.
I rode around my block on my Vespa scooter without a helmet. So
I will say this. There's so we talked about the Galant. We talked a little bit about the Galant. A little bit about the Galant. That car it's kind of making some progress. it's coming together. There's not a whole lot wrong with it anymore, but there's still a couple things. But yeah, talked about that. We talked about the Integra. Is there anything else that we haven't chatted about?
Anything?
Oh, I did get a free vehicle, but I don't want to talk about that one just yet.
Okay.
But there's another one. There's another one in my driveway that I am borrowing for a couple days.
Oh, okay.
And it's a Mitsubishi.
Okay.
And it was just been imported from Japan. So
what?
Yep, it's a right-hand drive vehicle.
What?
Yep.
Oh.
So let's see what do you think it might be out of all of the Mitsubishis that have been imported or can be imported?
You ready?
I'll give you a couple. Yes. What do you think it is?
I don't need a hint. I'm just going to go because I think I know it. If I know you, I think I know it. It's an FTO. Right. FTO.
No, it's not.
Damn it.
And I didn't get to choose. This just kind of like fell in my lap. This was an Instagram friend that said, "Hey, I've got this car here. My friend actually just purchased it, just imported it. He lives in Texas. He was gonna come out here and fly out here and drive it back, but COVID kind of messed that up. So, and it is what other hints could I give you? Any other? Okay. You want to ask me a couple questions? 20 questions.
20 questions. Okay.
No,
is it
questions?
Is it high off the ground?
Yeah, it is.
Delica.
It is.
It's a Delica.
No, it's not a Delica.
Okay.
Although some of them share the same motor.
Is it a Pajero Mini?
It's not one of those.
Pajero.
Pajero, yes. It is a Pajero.
Oh,
it's not the Mini though, but it's a Pajero. It's a 1995 Mitsubishi Pajero XR2, which is the top of the line trim for 95. It's adorable. It's a short wheelbase. So,
oh my goodness.
So it's pretty rad.
So the short wheelbase one, isn't that they based that? I can't ever say the damn name of this car.
Here's the thing.
Pajero.
I always thought it was Pajero. I always thought that. And then I started doing research on it. I'm like, okay, it's pretty much Pajero. I guess depending on where you are, it could be more of a hard J. If you listen to some of the commercials for it in Japan, it's kind of more like Pajero, like more of a soft J. So I don't know. It's if you watch people talk about it in Australia, they're like Pajero. It's like it kind of varies a little bit.
You know what? The name's always reminded me of something that, like, if you pronounce it wrong, you're saying an extraordinarily offensive word in some language.
Well, I'm pretty sure Pajero is an offensive word in some language, which is because I noticed that on some of the YouTube videos that I was watching. I'm like, okay. Anyway, so we're just swearing.
Sorry if we have offended anybody. I don't know how to pronounce things, and I'm American. There's my excuse.
Yes, we
didn't get this car, so
no,
cool.
We didn't.
Okay, so have you? I'm trying to remember from all of our conversations. You haven't driven right-hand drive before, correct, or have you?
Well, I haven't driven right-hand drive in the U.S. I've driven right-hand drive in Australia, where it makes more sense because you're on the proper side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a thing I had to kind of quickly get used to here. So yeah, driving. And actually, I would say in general, the thing that you have to kind of remember first and foremost is the turn signal stalk is on the right, windshield wipers on the left, and that's one thing that I remembered every time except for like 3 times. I got it wrong about 3 times today. I had the car the whole day. I basically was filming with it all day today.
Oh, nice.
I took the day off of work and just decided I'm going to film with this car today. And obviously shifting with my left hand, because it's a manual, which is nice. Beautiful. So shifting with my left hand it's weird because like initially, just you got to get that muscle memory, because you obviously it's second nature to shift with my right hand, but to do it with my left hand is more thinking about it. It's kind of weird. It's like riding a bicycle. So you got to learn it all over again. It's like learning to ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say after about 30 minutes, it felt normal. took about a half an hour for me to be like, okay, I'm really very comfortable driving this thing now.
Yeah.
Because I was very careful with the gears. Like I didn't want to accidentally go. I didn't want to like go into second instead of fourth or something like that.
Right.
So,
Right. Oh, that's awesome. That is
so yeah.
Cool.
The cool thing about this, it's a turbo diesel. It's a 2.8 liter turbo diesel.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have a ton of horsepower. It's not slow, but it's pretty slow.
Yeah.
It's kind of about as fast as like a 90s Tacoma. That's actually, it sounds kind of like a 90s Tacoma. It's about the same, it accelerates about the same. But yeah, it's four-wheel drive. It's got shift on the fly, four-wheel drive. It actually has a center diff lock.
Okay.
It's a two-tone paint, looks pretty rad. It's got it's actually, the other thing that's pretty neat about this car is that it has adjustable suspension settings, which is pretty rare for the 90s. So there's a little switch. You can go from hard, medium, and soft. Obviously, hard's going to be your Canyon carving and your Pajero. And soft is just you're going off-roading.
Interesting. So I wonder if it's just so from the 90s. I wonder how that's done, because it's probably not like air or something like that. And you got these like magnetic rides on some of these other things that where you can, or like the Civic Type R with electric dampers and all this. I
don't know exactly. I wish I had time to do a little bit more research on that. But when you press it, you can hear it do something.
Some sort of solenoid is moving.
There's some mechanical thing that's happening.
That's rad.
And you can feel it immediately. Like the difference between the three settings is pretty dramatic. Like it is very noticeable when you switch it. So, and I talked to the owner and I asked him, can I take this thing on a dirt road? And he said, yeah. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Cool. Obviously I'm not going to go rock crawling in the thing, but I want to be very careful with this car. It's not my car. So I took it to Roher Flat, which is in Santa Clarita. It's probably the closest OHV trails to LA that I know of. So it's not far at all. So that was, it took me like a half an hour to get there. Maybe not even that. So I took it up there, got a bunch of cool shots, drove it around. It doesn't have off-road tires. It's actually got all season, all terrain tires on it. So it wasn't, perfectly suited for that, but it was an easy road. It was an easy dirt road. It wasn't anything crazy. So
that's awesome. That's so cool. That's very kind of and generous of the owner to give you that opportunity to do that. So
cool. I was very
jealous.
Excited.
Color me jealous. I wish somebody would plop down a Honda Beat in front of me or something. And here, Paul. Okay, I'll take it out. I guess twist my arm. Oh, that's cool. That's very, very cool. Yeah, I was just on the Instagrams today, and up north, there's I forget the name of the Instagram account, but they pretty much deal with just like K trucks and stuff. Mm-hmm. Round Cat Racing. They just did
looking at that.
Yeah, they just did a little rally, but I guess Honda's got a S660 over here, which is their little K car that is like the successor to the Honda Beat, and it looks like a little, like if you took a Honda NSX or Acura NSX and you put it in the dryer for too long, that's kind of what you get. But it looks so awesome, and they have one here in the States. I don't know why it's here. Probably just to make people like me jealous and
I know,
envious that it's here, and some Honda PR guys driving it, and it's just like, oh, come on. No, it's not like they'd ever sell it here, of course, but it's just cool that it's here. But yeah, they just seeing all the K cars and everybody just out enjoying right-hand drive just made me like, man, I really, really wish I can pick one of these things up. And you can, I mean, and we're about done with 2020, thankfully, but into 2021, that gives us the year 1995. Which there's a lot of stuff from 95.
Well, and that's what this Pajero is. So they must just be on the cusp of of being able. I don't know if do they do it based on the production.
They do it.
Or something, or?
Yeah, as far as I know, I think they do about like the production month and everything like that. It's got to correlate, and then once it hits that actual 25th birthday, not like the year of, but like the month of, I believe that's when it's legal to import. So
okay, that must be why this Pajero is here. Yeah.
I remember seeing that one of the things from the top rank importer guys, like when they were bringing some R32s over, they're like, "Yep, these ones are ready to go. They're actually 25 years old by month." So it's it's so silly we have to deal with it. But I've talked ad nauseum about that, and I'll just keep my pie hole shut. But no, it's I'm envious, but. I'm happy for you. That's really cool. That's super awesome. I'm very much looking forward, excuse me, to the video to see the Pajero.
Yeah, and it was just fun to kind of get back in a right-hand drive car.
Yeah,
and it's because it's been a while for me, and I totally want one now. I mean, I've wanted one anyway, but now that actually I've experienced it recently and it's fresh in my mind, I'm like, yep, okay, I got to make this happen at some point. Still have no idea how to deal with the registration living in California. We talked about that ad nauseum as well, but we'll figure something out.
We got it. We'll do it somehow. Well, that's very fun. That's very fun and refreshing to hear such a fun story like that.
Yeah. And that car's sitting in my driveway right now. I got to take it out for maybe an hour tomorrow just to kind of finish up the shoot. It was super windy today, like incredibly windy up in the hills where I'm filming. So I wasn't able to get all the drone shots that I wanted to get. There's just bouncing the drone all over the place. But
hopefully the winds will die down and you can get those shots.
I think so.
Like that.
Yeah.
Those are always some of my favorite, and I know a lot of the viewers agree. My favorite shots of the videos are always the drone shots because it's just like, it's so cool. It's such a cool technology that we can do stuff like that now versus like 15 years ago when like that kind of stuff wasn't available. Oh, get the helicopter in here.
Exactly.
No, you go down to Best Buy and buy a drone. So I don't know.
Yeah, you don't even
Best Buy. I don't even know.
Oh yeah, you totally can. You totally can. I've actually bought drone accessories there. But yeah, there's and there you don't even have to get an expensive drone, and the footage is great. So
until you land it in a tree or a lake, it's just like
or power lines or something.
Or power lines. Yeah, I kind of view it as like getting like why I never got into RC airplanes or RC helicopters, because it's like, well, it's only fun for the first few minutes to crash it, and
exactly.
then it's done. So, but no, I'm sure they're a little bit better and easier to control than like some those like RC cars.
Sure, and they do have pretty good obstacle avoidance. I have clipped some leaves on a tree in my yard once when I wasn't paying attention, but because some of that stuff, it's a little bit hard for it to detect, and wires are not easy for it to detect too. So that's actually that can be really dangerous because you can clip a wire and send some sparks, and especially on a day like today with the wind and stuff, I'd be like, oh yeah, some jackass with a drone set a forest fire because he was trying to film this stupid car show.
Oh, that wouldn't go down good. That wouldn't go down good. So
nope.
Well, fun stuff.
Yeah,
you've been having lots of fun with cars, and
trying to
have fun with cars.
We won't talk about all the things that are broken, but how are things going with your fleet?
My very small fleet. Well, that's the thing.
Well, it's still a fleet. It's more than one. It's a fleet.
More than one. That's true. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I was thinking about it today because there's really been nothing that's happened. I mean, I've just driven the cars, but I go through these phases where like I don't know if the word's like discouraged, or there's just something that gets me like kind of rubbed the wrong way about the cars, owning the cars, driving the cars. And I've kind of been going through that. And it's kind of been, not cool because it's just like whatever. The cars are dirty. I don't care. I'm not gonna wash them. You know,
Sure.
I'm doing other stuff right now. I'm like kind of going through this like guitar phase where I'm just like playing guitar and having fun doing that. And whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I work. I'll have months on and months off of it. Like I went really hard on the Fit this year and
Yeah.
2 track days, all this modification work and everything. And I think that's kind of like where I don't want to say not animosity. I don't even know what the hell the damn word is, but I just get kind of frustrated, I guess is what it is. It's like I want to go back to the track, but I know the limitations of the car, and it's like then I think I start. I guess you could say I start kind of regretting some of the decisions. I'm like, well, why the hell did I do this to the Fit? Why did I do this to the Fit? I could have put the money into the Charade, and it could have done this, but then this variable could have happened. It's just the madness that's inside of my mind, how it works sometimes. So I was doing that just today, thinking about it, knowing that we were going to be going into record, and I'm like, damn, I don't really have any car updates other than my cars are dirty. That sucks. So I was sitting there thinking about like the Charade and the future of the Charade, and I was like, maybe, it might be time to get something a little bit different, and maybe I just want to build a different kind of track car and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep going back to that, thinking about how much of a journey it was to get the silly car in the first place.
Yeah.
And as special as like cars can be to people like that, it's just like at the end of the day, it's like I'm gonna get $1,000 for the Charade maybe, and that's it. I've put way more than that into it, and it's like it doesn't matter, but it's just like I'll never get another one, and
sure,
that's not the way it should be. And this kind of goes right in line with what you were talking about with the Integra, where it's low mileage. Your Integra is low mileage, so it made sense to do the head work and everything, keep the same motor in it and do that. Whereas the Charade is kind of more of a blank canvas, and I've had ideas on how I'd like to get it set up in the past, and at the same time, there's just this fear that if one little thing breaks or something like that, then the car is just done. And I always think about it like, man, what would I do if the engine spun a bearing or something like that? I mean, I could fix it. It's not the end of the world, but it's just things are so hard to find parts for on it. But then I started thinking about it today, and I was like, I just kind of need to put that aside and just think about it like, not that it's some delicate piece of automotive history that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, because it's not. It's just a machine that if it breaks, I'll fix it. And like I was saying, I don't know if I said it while we were recording just now, right before we started, literally 5 minutes before we started recording, I'm on the computer here and I just pull up Daihatsu stuff like in the parts section, the auto parts section of Craigslist.
Yeah.
And for the sum of $100, somebody has a full engine and transmission they pulled out of a barn, 3-cylinder for a Charade.
That's funny.
Isn't that the craziest thing?
That's nuts.
And it's not too. I mean, it's kind of a little far away. It's actually over kind of by you.
Okay.
But
interesting.
Yeah, I was like $100. So I messaged this person and I was like, "Hey, posted 17 days ago." I was like,
"You still have this? Of course, you still have this because nobody wants it."
I said, "You going to be around this weekend?"
Yeah.
So because that there is a huge sigh of relief. Like, maybe I could get, I'll get the engine and kind of tear it down and just see, how it looks and everything like that. Maybe I can replace some stuff and just get it so I know that what I can put it into the Charade if something was to happen. And it's a small 3-cylinder engine. It's not like it takes up a ton of space.
You probably don't even need a engine hoist for it. You could probably just pick it up.
Yeah, I probably could. So yeah, and I could probably just throw it in the back of the Fit to drive it home. So
yeah.
And so it just kind of it was just kind of this crazy like universal thing telling me 5 minutes before we start recording, Paul, look at this. There's something here for you to go get. Because I have 2 tubs full of parts from different charades at junkyards I've pulled off that are like, the seals. So I have all that stuff. So it's like I can keep the car going for a long time. So
sure.
Why do I keep thinking like I need to get rid of it or something like that? I mean, there's no reason at all. So that's my little rant. So I'm going to get this motor and I'm going to just kind of assess it and see. I mean, there's only one picture of it and it looks like it's missing a few things on it, but it looks pretty complete to me. I mean, maybe I take it down and build it and see what I can do. And, the because of my employer, I kind of maybe might be able to see about getting some custom stuff made, maybe some maybe some pistons, maybe some connecting rods, and maybe break out 70 horsepower out of a naturally all motor build charade. That would be so
fancy.
That would be so bitchin'. But so the vigor has been renewed. So there we go.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Look at that. That's the universe telling me, yeah, Paul, you can do this. So there we go. So I'm going to go buy a $100 engine for a charade. If anybody else hears this and it's still there,
it's not. Yeah,
it's not for sale anymore.
Yeah, your name is on it.
What was that? Remember that? God, that nasty Volkswagen commercial where everybody goes and they were licking the door handles. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, that was awful. This is mine.
This one's mine. Lick the door handle. So great. You won't see that in the post-COVID world.
I know.
That commercial won't happen again. So, but yeah, other than that, the only other thing going on really is there's something I got for the Fit, but I forgot what the hell I got now. I bought something for it. What did I buy?
What did you get?
I don't know. I'm going to have to keep everybody in suspense because I can't remember I spent my own hard-earned money on. What the did I buy?
That's that pretty much anytime I buy anything from Amazon. It's like a few days later, I'm like, what did I get again?
Yeah.
It's always like a surprise every time I open the box. Like, oh yeah, bicycle pump. I ordered that a week ago. We always do the slow shipping, so we get like free or get free stuff on Amazon Prime. So by the time it shows up, I'm like, yeah, I don't remember what this is supposed to be. It's even worse though if it's a car part and you're like looking forward to like modifying it. You're like, oh yeah, I bought a cold air intake for my probe and I forgot about it.
That's what it was. I bought a K&N air filter for it because why not? I mean, it was on Black Friday sale, so
okay.
I was like, why not? So it's not here yet. I don't know. I got to go look. I don't know. My wife gets so many packages is coming up to Christmas. So all the gifts are showing up for these damn spoiled kids. So, but yeah, it could be out there. Yeah. So I got a K&N air filter for the Fit. So I'm going to have 0.3 or no, what was the actual, there was a K&N in the Galant in the video, wasn't there?
In the Probe, actually.
In the Probe, yes. So what was it? 0.3 of a horsepower.
Yeah, I was just thinking it's like half a horsepower or something like that. Or you put it in, you find out it's actually worse.
Yeah, it's funny with those high flow.
Just louder.
Filters. Yeah, exactly. But those high flow air filters, there's like, it's probably one of, I don't know if between using a high flow air filter, does it truly give you more horsepower, or like different octane fuels, does it give you better performance? Like those are probably the two most hotly contested topics if you're talking about like car performance.
Well, and the silly thing is that you can test it, that you could test it and actually get hard data to tell you what it is. But I think people just want to believe, it's like anytime you spend a bunch of money on parts or something, you're like, yeah, this made it way better.
Yeah. I hear you on that one. Sorry, my my headphones fell off my head. That was weird. I'm in the garage. Maybe it was some spirit or something just lifted the headphones off my head.
Yikes. It was the spirit of Daihatsu saying, you've made the right choice.
You've made the right choice.
You've made the right choice to buy that engine.
Let's be honest. I've made a very bad choice because it's going to sit in my garage. I'm going to tear it down the first day I get it, and then I'm going to lose shit, and then it's going to just be like...
And then you'll be like, how did this go back together? I have no idea.
And I can't find any documentation on how to do it because it's a goddamn Daihatsu engine. So...
Yeah, it's a tough place to be in with vehicles that they're not worth anything. They're only worth your sentimental value,
right?
Right. It's only worth whatever memories and stories that you have with the vehicle,
right?
And you're not going to make whatever money you put into it, you're not going to get out of it.
Yeah.
You could probably list it on Bring a Trailer as kind of a novelty, if you ever wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to bring in that much money.
Yeah.
It's just interesting with these vehicles that are like Econoboxes, and they're just standard, regular old cars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, what if you do sell your Charade? Who's it going to go to? It might go to somebody that's interested in Daihatsus. It might go to somebody that just needs a cheap car to get to work. You know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And if that's the case, I mean, it could last for 10 years. It could last for 10 months. It could last for 10 minutes. You just never know with these things. Well, yeah, I kind of see. I mean, I've noticed this the last couple of days, like the Econoboxes that that you have, and I have with the Charade, and just the general community around it. There's so much love for it. But then, what was the car? Oh, I was thinking about this the other day. That a car that you don't see anymore, that's a fairly new car, but you just never see them, and that would be like something like a Nissan Cube. One of my other car crushes. I was like, I don't see Nissan Cubes that much anymore, because I was thinking about your Scion XB, and you don't see even the second generations. They're getting filtered out already. Yep. You rarely see it you see first generations. I think I see more first generations than second generation XBs. Nissan Cubes, I'm just talking about boxy cars, but those are like just some examples of things that are, at least in my mind, they're relatively new cars, but they're already being filtered out in a way. It's kind of...
I will say the same thing about early 2000s Maximas.
Yes.
They were relatively popular still then. Obviously they're not now, but late 90s, early 2000s, when I was at the junkyard a few weeks back, so many Maximas. And it's like they're good cars. Like I loved the Maximas. I had a 97 and I had a 99. I loved the engine. It was fun to drive. It was really nice interior for the era. But yeah, they're just at the point where nobody cares about them. So even though they're a decent car and they could be fixed, there's just no love for them.
It's the throwaway mentality. And I looked at, so I was like, well, let me go look and see how much Cubes are going for. Just shits and giggles. Sure. So I usually go to CarMax first to see, because they take decent pictures, and they're between 9 and 11 gets you a Cube. Okay, I was like, well, let's go to Offer Up. It's a totally different story.
Sure.
You're talking about $4,000 to $5,000 for one of these cars. I'm like, what? It's the Nissan resale value, but they're a Japanese made car. Nothing knocking against a car that's, like a Japanese company not made in Japan. I mean, my Fit's made in Mexico, but it's like, it's $4,000 and it's like a 2011. Come on.
Here's a clean title Cube. 2010, 160,000 miles for $3,200.
Yeah.
So, that's an old car. But that's
$200 more than I paid for my E46 when I bought that thing back however many years ago. And it's like, it's a modern car, so that's an example of one of these things. That's just like, we're starting to see it. Like,
sure. But there's like this time period that needs to pass before people start caring about cars again. Like, I don't know what the time period is, but I feel like it's got to be 15 years. Like I feel like 15 years and older is when people start to be like, oh yeah, I remember that car when I was a kid, or I remember I used to own that and I sold it and I regret it. Any newer than that, I think it's just not enough time has passed for any type of nostalgia to form. I mean, that's
right.
Honestly, for a lot of us that like these cars, that's one of the primary reasons we're into it, because it gives us the warm fuzzies of thinking about, the past.
Yeah.
Which is, it's like, it's sort of, nostalgia is, there's a good and bad about nostalgia, because, as much as we want to save these cars at some point down the line, as much as we want to try to keep these things running, at some point, most of the cars that I have now are going to get crushed, maybe 20, 30 years from now. At some point, I'll sell my, and I don't want to sell it, but at some point I'll probably sell my Nova twin cam, probably no sooner than at least a decade. I want to keep that car for another 10 years, but I could sell that, and it's an econo box. Who cares? Unless I could sell it to, I could donate it to a Chevy museum or a Toyota museum or something like that, because it's sort of a curiosity. Yes. But other than that, it's just that's kind of the thing. Going to the junkyard the other day, you see all these cars that I love that are just, they're going to get turned into washing machines and crushed and turned into crap. But I don't know. I think a part of it is just, caring for these cars is just, it's fun. You can learn a lot about the history of the vehicles. You can, you can have good stories to tell people about all the fun times you had with the cars. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is just all the adventures and the fun that you have with these vehicles. And, as much as I want to try to keep this, this Galant that I quote saved, I put a ton of money into it, but 10 years from now, who knows where that car is going to be.
Right.
Yeah. I know that's sort of like my Debbie Downer car outlook on cars, but
but no, it is true. And like, and I see it every day going to work. It's just like, I just get on the freeway at the same time. There's like usually like 3 big rigs that have just like the crushed cars on them, and they're like stacked up, and I see it.
And you're like, there's a Park Avenue. Oh, why did they crush that?
Yeah. Like I obviously trying to drive correctly, but at the same time, I'm always like looking like, what's on there? What can I see? And I always see like a bubble Taurus bumper, and I'm like, you don't see the bubble Tauruses anymore.
Nope.
And that's because they're all in the car crusher truck going to be made into washing machines and iPhones or whatever the hell they make the damn things into. So it's sad, but I think 15 years. So what is that? 2005.
I think that's like, that's kind of my Scion is a 2005. I think that's people are just starting to be like, younger people are like, oh, I don't see those anymore. Yeah. Or I don't even know what that is. You just don't see them that often.
Right.
Sometimes, maybe not really the case for a Scion XB, but other cars from that era, they, a lot of them have like hit the bottom of the market. Like my Scion it's at the bottom of the market. Like my Scion is worth next to nothing. Even in good condition, it's not really worth very much. So I think that's what has to happen. It gets to the bottom of the market, and all of a sudden, so many of them get crushed. And then it's also right at the same point where people start to have nostalgia for them. Yeah. And now they're rare, or now those cars are just less common and harder to find. So,
but see, you have something like, I'm thinking like an 04, 05 Pontiac GTO, right? Okay. Sure. So there's a car it's an enthusiast car. It's like a, pony car, sports car, whatever the hell you want to call it. Yeah. There's a finite number of those things, given quite a few of them were probably crashed by people that were probably, in their early 30s at that time or whatever, that could have afforded one, or, whatever the case may be.
They're all Mustang drivers now. So
they're all Mustang drivers now, because they have no, or Camaro. But, but that's a car that, people, you're starting to see them. They're coming out of the woodwork. It's like, oh, here's a 26,000 original mile GTO that my dad bought when he retired, when he was 65 in 2005, and he just passed away. And it's a $40,000 car, because that's a car that people look at with like, it's the enthusiast, quote, enthusiast type of a car, versus like if the same thing were to happen to here's a 2005 Scion XB that my dad bought when he retired and put 26,000 miles on it. It's all original and has all the Scion accessories. And here it is on Bring a Trailer, and it sells for $6,000.
Yeah, $6,000. Yeah.
So it's just a thing. I mean, I think it's I guess, how do you want to put it? I like being on this side of the market, liking the automotive oddities, and just because it's the stuff, because you can be a better historian when you're one of the only historians for the car, right? Versus like everybody knows about the GTOs.
Sure.
There was a lot of stuff with Scions, but still, it's just, there's not as much knowledge on the stuff that's out there. So it feels more fulfilling as a car enthusiast to like theoretically roll up to a Cars and Coffee in a 26,000 mile, perfectly clean 2005 Scion XB with all the Scion accessories and stuff like that, or a Nissan Cube even that has the little rug on the dash and stuff, and be like, yeah, that was a factory option. What? Oh my gosh, that's cool. Versus the guy that's next to you in the Porsche, whatever. In whatever painted in whatever color,
that's the thing about Porsches is that no Porsche is going to get crushed. I mean, very few.
That's true.
People are going to save them. That's the thing. The whole point of those cars is to be coveted, and as opposed to an Econobox, the whole point of that car is to not be coveted. It's to basically get you to work. So, and I guess the other thing to think about is, with your Daihatsu, maybe even me with my twin cam, because there's so few of them out there, at least me, I sort of feel like a responsibility. It's sort of weird. Yeah. Like you buy this car and now you feel like, well, crap. Well, if I don't take care for it, there's so few people that care about these cars. If I don't take care of it, will it last? It's like you're trying to keep the story alive of something. It's just a vehicle. It's not like, in the scheme of things, it's not that important. But I do sort of feel that with the Nova Twin Cam, where I feel like, well, because I've had the car, I know so much about it. I know so much about the factory that it was built. I know so much about the engine. I know so much about the details of the vehicle that it would be weird for me to sell it now, because it's kind of like, well, it's sort of become part of who I am.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. Right on the money, because it's true. Who else would care for it the same way you cared for it, the same way I cared for the Charade?
And there might be somebody out there. It's possible, but who knows if those people are in the market for for it.
Exactly. That I guess that would I guess we can kind of conclude the topic by saying, like, I would sell the Charade to another Charade enthusiast.
Sure.
If there was such a thing, which I know there's a few, but it's just so rare. And the same goes for like the twin cam. It's like, if you met a person that had a museum in Huntsville, Alabama, that has nothing, but they're trying to find all the remaining Corolla or Nova twin cams, okay, that's probably going to be a good place for the car to go.
Yeah, I would want to try to find somebody that was a fan of the 4AG, was a fan of Toyotas, maybe already has a few other ones. I don't know. It's hard to say though, because at the same time, there's plenty of young enthusiasts out there that would be super stoked to have a twin cam. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah. That's true.
So.
Very interesting.
Yes.
I can honestly say this, and I feel completely like, reborn with wanting to do some stuff to the Charade now, just because it's just, like what we just talked about, all of our dear listeners got to hear me like have this beautiful epiphany while we were talking about, like, who's going to take care of it? Well, it's kind of my responsibility, because I've built this last 4 or 5 years, 6 years of my life around this silly little $600 car that I've wanted for some silly reason and now finally own. So
Yep.
I'm going to drive it to work tomorrow.
Now you're stuck. You're stuck with this thing.
Yeah, no, and it's fine. And it's a good thing to be stuck with because I'd much rather have this little charade sitting in my driveway kind of getting dirty and doing its little thing and just than, something that was like drastically losing money. Like, I bought a 911 and it's in the driveway and it's falling into disrepair. I'm not driving it. I don't have to feel too bad with the charade. But the charade also does this other weird thing where it has I guess you could say a relationship with me, and I cannot start it for like maybe a month, and I'll go out and start it, and it starts right up fine and says, okay, where are we going? And nope, I'm just moving you out of the driveway so the kids can play in the driveway. Okay. And then it parks in the street and then bring it back in. Like that's kind of what it's done the last couple months, to be honest. So, I actually had it at work a couple weeks ago. So I'll take it to work tomorrow. So,
yeah. Good idea. All right.
I feel good, Ethan.
All right. Nice.
I feel good.
Well, that's good.
I feel good about all this. I'm very happy. So next time we can talk about my trip to the valley to go pick up a Daihatsu charade engine.
Yes.
And it'll be sitting in my garage next to me. So if anything, it's going to make for a really bitchin' coffee table.
Yes. Yep. Just put a piece of glass on it. You'd be good to go. Just awesome. drain the oil out first.
Yes. Yep. Maybe it's a brand new engine that's never been installed.
Ooh.
I don't know. There's only one picture. The person doesn't seem like they know much about it.
Also just seems weird. Like, why would somebody take a motor out of a charade?
Yeah.
Like, it was somebody parting out a charade? That doesn't seem like a very lucrative endeavor.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
All I know is there's lots of parts on that I could potentially use if the need ever arose. So that makes me feel a little bit better about the charade. If I could just get like a couple more of them, then I'd be good. Then I can just know that everything will be fine if something was to happen to it. So,
all right. Well, it sounds like you're gonna have to import one. So we'll talk about that next week.
Yes, when I import my charade GTTI.
Yes.
And live my 100 horsepower dream with a charade.
Yes. Do it.
That'd be awesome. Cool. Well,
nice. All right.
That's right about the hour mark. So I think that's about the time for everybody that's commuting to work to get to work. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. That's about enough. Or you catch the last couple minutes on your way home.
There you go. Or you can sit by the fire with your loved ones while you're staying safe from this virus and listen to our podcast over your radio.
Do it. Yes. We broadcast on. Yes. All right. Well, where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
The interwebs, you can find me at Paul's Finest Hour on Instagram and on the Twitter. Oh, we didn't talk about the new Twitter. I don't know. It's weird.
The new Twitter? Is it new? I don't.
Well, they added that little fleets thing.
Oh, nobody uses that.
I don't get it. it. Anyways, okay, that's it. Yeah. We talked about the new Twitter. It's weird. Anyways, where can they find you, Mr.
All right.
Duffs?
I'm on Twitter, not that frequently, but occasionally. Twitter, my username is Mr. Ethan Tufts. Same on Instagram, Mr. Ethan Tufts, on youtube.com/HelloRoad. Got a new video with a Galant. Got an upcoming video with the Stanza Wagon. I got a video coming. Yes, some work has been done. We'll talk about that soon.
The safest car in America.
Yes, the worst, the least safe car in America. Yes, and the Pajero video, working on that. Got a couple other things in the pipeline. So yeah, all right. Awesome. Thanks so much for listening, everybody, and hopefully we'll try to keep this a little bit more regular.
Yes.
All right, cool. See you later.
Good night, everyone. Bye.